Welcome back to another Musume video. Today, we're going to talk about the fourth scenario that was just added on July 21st, 2026. Brighter Together, our grand concert, or we like to call it Grand Live. Unlike our last three scenarios where there was a heavier focus on racing, this scenario, the fourth scenario, focuses more on the idol aspect of Musume. But don't be fooled, just because we're going to be focusing on the idol aspect more doesn't mean you still can't get some pretty good skills and some pretty good stats. In this video, we're going to go over basically the overall structure of Grand Live, how the mechanics work, what you can get out of it, and how to best train through Grand Live to make the best you can possible. Now, the first question you're going to ask yourself is, what the heck is going on here? So let's talk about the two goals of Grand Live. The first goal of Grand Live is you want to do your UMA's regular scheduled races. So this is not MANT anymore. We're not making our own schedules. This is going to be like URA and Unity Cup. In addition, that also means that you can do your UMA's secret events again. To see what an UMA's secret event is, you can always go into the Game Tour website, look up the UMA, look under secret events, and see what they need in order to accomplish that. It's usually some extra races that you have to accomplish. The next goal, which is sort of the main mechanic of Grand Live, is you need to perform a show every 6 months, starting at the end of your junior year, so that late December. Now, of course, you want to have successful concerts. So how do you do this? Well, it sort of ties into the training now. So when you train, you will be given these tokens, which I'll explain soon. These tokens you can spend on lessons, and lessons do not take one of your turns away. This is an additional thing you can do. In addition, you can also learn songs through lessons. So there are 5 different tokens. There's dance, passion, vocal, visual, and composure. In JP, actually, composure is ME for mental, but for global, they replaced it with composure. So as mentioned before, you have to do your stat training in order to make tokens. So which stat training makes which tokens? Well, if you look at this table, there's a primary token assigned to each stat, and there's a 60% chance that this token usually occurs. So if you look at speed, there's a 60% chance that the dance token can be created. However, every stat has a secondary token. This is a token that it can also produce, but only has a 30% chance to create. So if you look at the speed, there's a 30% chance that it can make a visual token. And then finally, there is a 10% chance that any other token can be created. So now the next question is, well, how many tokens do I get per training? Well, there is a fancy formula I put here that is an approximation of what tokens get made per stat. However, to just think about it, it's basically the training level of the facility, it is the number of cards that are in that facility for that training, and then the scenario length. In addition, there is also something special that's not in this formula, which is if you have a rainbow, it does 2 things. It doubles the amount of tokens you are getting, plus it actually gives you 2 different types of tokens. So now that I have these tokens, what do I do with them? Well, you're going to spend them on lessons, and there are 2 different types of lessons. There are regular lessons that will lead up to a song. Those will give you skill hints, skill points, increase to your stats. They can even help you rest, though they're kind of expensive, the rest one. And then you have the actual songs you can learn. Songs are part of the main mechanic of the game. You need 3 songs per live in order to have a successful concert. Now, be careful because you will have an extra song in the first live, but that does not count towards your 3 songs. So you will have the 1 song they give you in the beginning, and then you will have to do an additional 3. In addition, at the end for the Grand Live, you get an additional song. That one, again, does not count towards the 3 songs you need. So songs can give you sort of 2 permanent increases. So the first increase is going to be either a stat bonus, a permanent training increase. So let's say every time I train in speed, I'll get an additional +1 to speed, a permanent skill point increase, and then finally just an increase to skill points in general. And then there's a second bonus you get from songs that is permanent. You can either get increased to friendship bonus, specialty rate increase, or support event chances. I did want to point out one thing, what support event chance is. So what this means is that every support card you have has these events tied to it. Mainly, we'll talk about the chain events. Chain events, there's usually 2 for SR cards and 3 for SSR cards, and they're important because they usually give you some type of skill that you're looking for, some stats, etc. Now, there's always a chance during a run that the chain never finishes, that the chain never even occurs, which really sucks because if you pull a specific card and you really want that skill and the chain never happens, then you're never going to get that skill, which is really frustrating. At least with support event chance, now I have a higher chance of the chain finishing and me getting the skill I want. Now remember, songs and lessons will cost tokens. For lessons, after each live, they become more and more expensive. For example, if you have a stat increase in a lesson, before the first live, it's only +5, but it costs 10 tokens. However, after the first live, the stat now becomes +8, but the cost now is 16 tokens. This does not mean spam a bunch of lessons to get a bunch of songs early on to save your tokens. The reason why things are becoming more expensive is because as you progress the run, you are more likely to get more tokens. For songs, after each live, more songs will be released. Those songs will have better stats and as well will cost more tokens, but we'll get into that soon. And one other small thing, basically for every live, you will get +5 skill points for every lesson you did for that live specifically, and then you will get +25 skill points per song you learned for that live. This does not include the song you learn in the beginning for free and the song you get at the end of the run. Let's first try to get into how do I get a song, or when do I know when my next song is coming? So in order to unlock a song, you need to do a certain amount of lessons before each song. So each concert has their sort of pattern of how many lessons you need to do before you can unlock a song. So I sort of have a table above. It shows the number of lessons before each song. So for example, if we look at concert 1, we can see that 1 lesson lets me unlock 1 song. 2 lessons then lets me unlock 1 song. Then I do 3 lessons and I unlocked another song, etc., etc. One thing to be made aware of is lesson progress towards a song does not transfer between lives. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to show you an example. So let's say I learned 3 songs for concert 1 and then I did an additional lesson. So as you can see here, I did 1 lesson, got my 1 song, did 2 lessons, got my 2nd song, 3 lessons, got my 3rd song, and then I did 1 lesson, right? Then the first concert happens, and now I'm working towards the 2nd concert. Now, to get my first song for the 2nd concert, I need to do 2 lessons. So now my question is, well, since I already did 1 lesson previously that didn't go towards a song, does it now go towards the song for the 2nd concert? Or do I need to do 2 lessons? Well, the answer is you have to do 2 lessons. Because again, lesson progress towards a song does not transfer between concerts. Now that we talked about how to get songs, let's talk about which songs we want to take and why. So usually we want to go for songs that have some type of friendship bonus, specialty rate up, maybe some stats or skill point up, and then of course, permanent increases to stat training is always nice to have. Now here is a list of what songs are available during each live. And then it's not like, oh, if I did the first live and then I didn't do a song, I cannot access it for the 2nd live. It goes into a pool. So the first live, you have access to 8 songs. The 2nd live, you have access to 3 more, or now you have 11 songs. Now it's important to note that once you learn a song, you cannot relearn a song. You get those stat bonuses, those permanent increases, whatever it is, permanently the song goes out of the pool. Here's another way to look at the songs. So I put them together by their first permanent bonus. So as you can see, we have 6 songs that give us specialty rate up, 9 songs that give us friendship bonus, and finally 5 songs that increase our chances of getting a support event. And then I sort of starred the songs that I think are really important for any build. That is because these songs specifically for their secondary bonus will either give you some type of increase to your skill points or your speed, which I think any UMA needs. Now for each live, I'll give you some suggestion songs to target. I think this is important because when you're learning a new mechanic, there's a lot of things going on, so sort of having a set path to go off of first really helped me in the beginning when I was learning this. So for the first live, I recommend these 3 songs. Of course, here are some honorable mentions. So these 4 songs, they will give you a +1 to a certain stat training. So for example, the first one will give you +1 to any power training you do. For the 2nd live, we have these 3 songs. They give you the specialty rate increase, which I think is important. It increases your training for speed and your skill points. And then the last song gives you friendship bonus and gives you extra speed overall. So I think those are pretty good. An honorable mention for this is in the second live, you do have access to this song, but it just gives you +2 to guts training, and it does give you specialty rate up. I personally wouldn't take it unless you're doing like a gut-centric build or you just need more guts in general. For the third live, I would choose these 3 songs just because, first of all, they give us specialty rate up, which is important as I talked about before. They also give us permanent increases to our power and our skill point trainings. And then the last one will give you wisdom training increases. And honorable mention is this song in particular. If you wanted to sub this song for this power song instead, so instead of getting a +2 to your power training, you wanted a +2 to your stamina training, I think that's fine. It just depends on what you're running. If I'm running along, I might choose to do the stamina one instead anyway. So, and then for the 4th concert and the 5th concert, which is also the grand live, you could try to target these 6 songs in any combination. So in total, these trainings don't give you 15 songs, they actually give you 16 songs, because for the very first concert, you technically get 1 song ahead of time. So you will have 16 songs with this. So now here's some additional information about Grand Live that can be important. So first of all, if you do 18 songs before early December of senior year and your last live is a great success, you will have 1 hint towards I Wanna Win With You skill. I Wanna Win With You will increase your velocity and your acceleration if you are not in the back of the pack in the second half of the race. What's important about this skill is that it scales based off a number of fans you have. You can look at these 2 charts to see the scaling, but ultimately, as long as you have over 160,000 fans, you will hit the maximum amount that this skill will give you. If you do not hit one of those 2 things, you don't hit 18 songs, or you don't have a success in one of your lives, then you will get a hint towards On the Way to Our Dream. This is a non-gold version of I Wanna Win With You. It does the same thing. It does increase to acceleration and velocity. If you are not in the back of the pack on the second half of the race, it does scale based off the number of fans, as you can see with these 2 tables, but the scaling is much lower than the scaling for the gold version. So obviously this means that we do want to try to hit 18 songs. For the next thing, if you hit 16 songs before early November of senior year, you will get additional hints to a skill. These skills that you have access to are based off of A, which scenario-linked characters you brought, and B, which option or which skill you end up choosing. So these are the 4 scenario-linked UMAs, not including Light Hello. So if you bring the scenario-linked UMA as a support card or as the UMA themselves, you will have access to the gold version of the skill. So for example, if I bring Mihono Bourbon herself, Valentine Bourbon herself, or I bring her support card, then I will have access to Concentrate, which is a reaction time golden skill. But if I don't bring her, then I will only have access to Focus. And then, besides, the scenario characters giving you access to certain skills, in addition, scenario characters will give you +5 tokens in every token per live. We talked about the skill hints already. And then for Light Hello specifically, if you bring her, sometimes during her events, she will give you +20 tokens to the spot you have the least amount of tokens in. So for example, if you have like 0 dance tokens, then she might give you like +20 dance tokens. So basically, just talking a little bit about the timeline, it's about 4 rounds of like regular training for the pre-debut. And then after that, you could start your idol training where you can get your tokens and such. So ideally, basically before the first summer, we want to try to max out our friendship for 2 reasons. One, again, friendship maximum gives us rainbows. Rainbows give us really good stats. And the other thing is rainbows now give us additional tokens, which will make it easier to get more songs. In addition, just so you remember, you need 16 songs before early November senior year to get the skill hint linked to a scenario character, and then you need 18 songs before early December senior year to get the gold skill I Wanna Win With You. And then just some things I wanted to point out, it is kind of like URA or Unity Cup. We do have like the New Year's events, the raffles, the Valentine Day events, etc. So, because in Mant, we lose out on a lot of that. In addition, you can, again, as I said in the beginning, do their special missions. If you want to see their special missions again, you can see through their character sheet on Game Tora. This is what I use. To increase the unique level ups, it's the same as URA. So you need 60,000 fans by early February senior year, 70,000 fans by early April senior year. Plus, you do need to have green friendship with the chairperson. And then you need to have 120,000 fans by late December senior year, which you should be able to hit these. You may need to do an extra race here or there, you'll see. For Urara and Smart Falcon specifically, their fan count goals are actually lower. It's 40,000, 60,000, and 80,000, just like in URA again. And then to increase your training levels, this is similar to URA again. You just need to do 4 trainings in that facility. So for example, if I'm at level 1 speed and I train in speed 4 times, then it'll go up to level 2. Then if I do another 4 speed, I get to level 3, etc. For the Grand Life scenario, we have increased stat caps, as you can see in this table, where speed has the highest cap, so go crazy. And then finally, there is a white spark you can get for this scenario. It will give you an increase to speed and guts when it is triggered in the inheritance event. Thank you so much for watching my video on Grand Live. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section. Hopefully I can make more videos. I will see you guys soon. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.